one, you already been subscribed. Right now, the queen, she on live.
Right now.
Please pull over the whip, no phoning when you drive. Dope Soul sporting with the talk. First lady from New York,
Brooklyn.
All my people, you rocking with the chat.
Hit that.
The like button would tell me where you at. You know, Step from the MBK. Born and raised up MBK. Hey, real lady, where she holding it down. No matter way how you feel, she gon' greet you with a smile.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's her.
shine. Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.
What?
Dope Soul.
What?
Your soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Salute, Knick family. Long time in this morning spot. Man, I miss you guys in this spot. I'm gonna do my best to come on after each Knicks playoff game. I'm gonna do my best to do it. I don't know if I can promise that. The Knicks got a big game tonight. First game of the playoff series against Philadelphia 76ers at home in MSG tonight, 6 p.m. Man, it's on ESPN. It's on MSG. For those who live in the New York City area, I'm curious, which telecast are you watching? I'm going to be watching MSG for sure. All right, let me get into it. I don't have a lot, and every time I say that, it's like a 45-minute show. But yeah, I'm just super excited. Let's get into this really quick tonight. These are the projected starting lineups for us: Jerrell, Brunson, Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, Isaiah Hartenstein. For Philadelphia, Kyle Lowry, Tyrese Maxey, Kelly Oubre Jr., Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid. Again, projected starting lineups. It's possible that Buddy Hield and Tyrese Maxey start. That wasn't something they did against Miami. I doubt they'll do that, just because defensively, I think it would be a hot mess to have both Buddy Hield and Tyrese Maxey in the lineup. But we'll see. I think if they do that, we'll definitely be able to take advantage of it. All right. What stands out for me for the Philadelphia 76ers and their starters? I think what immediately stands out is the fact that Tobias Harris is averaging 17.2 points per game on really good efficiency. And you wouldn't know that if you listen to the Philadelphia 76ers fans. They are really down on him. I think part of it is that they expected more from him when Embiid went down with the injury and they didn't get it. But he's more than capable. He is more than capable. I anticipate that Josh Hart will be matched up against him. It's possible OG Anunoby will be matched up against him. That's not something I would do, and we'll talk about that a little later when I get into matchups. I think Josh Hart will be matched up against him. I think Josh Hart, even though he's 6'7", maybe 3 inches taller than Josh Hart has been guarding up throughout this season. So I don't think that's going to be an issue for him. And I don't expect him to average 17 points per game in this series. You can argue if he does, it's going to be difficult for the Knicks to win. You can argue that, right? I expect Josh Hart to hold him well below his average. But that's what stood out for me when I was looking at the stats for the Philadelphia 76ers starters. Their bench, they averaged 31.2 points per game. Listen, when Embiid was out, some of their, so they averaged 31.2 points per game. Their top bench scorer is Buddy Hield at 12.2 points per game. The Knicks bench, we averaged 28.4 points per game, 27th in the league. Our top bench scorer, and I was surprised to see this, our top bench scorer is Bogdanović at 10.4 points per game, and I think about 19 minutes, and we're going to need all of it in this series. We'll get into that as well. All right, this is just this statistical matchup between the two teams. I mean, we're very good in second chance points, as you can see, with 16.7 per game. but Philadelphia is not a slouch in second chance points with 15 per game. They're sixth in the league. So rebounding is going to be a big key to this series, both offensively and defensively, particularly if you're not shooting well. How many second chance opportunities can you get at the basket? And we have two of the best in the league, and Hartenstein and Mitch. And let's not forget Josh Hart. Now, Mitch is not 100%, so I'm not sure how much we can expect from him as far as offensive rebounding. We shall see. All right. As far as offensive rating for the season, we're seventh, they're 14th. A lot of these numbers, though, because of the injuries for both teams, I don't know how much we can put into them. You know, Philly has the 14th ranked offense. How many games have they played without Joel Embiid? We have the seventh best offensive rating again on the season. Some of this was with Barrett and Quickly. A lot of it is without Julius Randle. So again, I'm not sure how much we can put into these numbers. Defensive rating, we're ninth, they're 11th. Points per game, we're 19th points, 19th ranked in the NBA in points per game. They're 15th. Rebounding, the New York Knicks are a strong rebounding team, and we're going to need every bit of it. We're fifth, they're 20th. Again, a lot of their season was played without their top rebounder. So I'm not sure if the Knicks are that much more better than they are when they're fully healthy, rebounding wise. But let's get into the matchups. This is a key matchup for me, Embiid and Isaiah Hartenstein. And shout out to the chat, Reginald Prophet or Prophetti. I don't know if I got it right, but I appreciate you rocking with me this morning. Angel Rodriguez, Pamela Willis, appreciate you, sis, listening on Facebook. Ivory 10, Sean Ramos, Ronald, Doriston. I know I didn't get that right, but I appreciate you. Kareem Grant, appreciate you. Listen, I don't expect Hartenstein to stop Embiid, even if Embiid is 75%. He does what he does, right? Even at 75%, you know, he's a better player than Hartenstein, and you're going to expect more from him, at least statistically, even at 75%. But Hartenstein doesn't have to outplay Joel Embiid, right? I don't think that's the expectation. What he needs to do is he needs to make, I don't even want to say work, because I don't think we have the centers that can make Embiid work on the defensive end, but at least he has to pay attention to you. That's what we need from Isaiah Hartenstein. Isaiah Hartenstein has the fifth best defensive rating in the NBA. I was pretty surprised to hear that. He has the fifth best defensive rating in the NBA, and we're going to need all of it for Embiid. But listen, make him tend to you on the offensive end. Keep him off the offensive boards. You know, and this is like, there's going to be a lot of duh moments in this show. You know, you cannot give Embiid second and third opportunities on the boards, and make him work to keep you off the offensive boards. The Knicks, not the Knicks, Isaiah Hartenstein is fifth in the NBA in offensive rebounds. He has the second best offensive rebounding percentage in the entire league. You know, Embiid has to tend to him, make him work, stay active on the offensive boards like you usually do, make him work extra hard, you know, to get the defensive rebounds. He's not 100%. You know, any extra effort we can get to make Embiid work and put out extra effort is going to bode well for us. We're second in second chance points, despite the fact that Mitchell Robinson has missed 50 games. The Knicks still finished second in second chance points, second chance opportunities, and we're going to need all of it. And I think one of the bigger keys to this matchup is Isaiah Hartenstein needs to stay out of foul trouble. I'm not sure Mitchell Robinson is up to playing 20 minutes a game. I don't want to see Precious Achua and Sims, Jericho Sims, having to guard Embiid. I don't want to see it. So not only do we need Hartenstein to play 30 minutes minimum, We need him to be effective offensively. Yeah, again, he's not going to stretch the defense. He's not going to, he's not somebody you're going to throw the ball down to in the post and make Embiid work that way. No, but do what you do so that he can't roam. When you get the ball at the foul line and you turn to face the basket, he has to tend to you. And that's what we need from Isaiah Hartenstein. We'll talk about this later. He, in my opinion, is one of the X factors in this game. He could be the difference in the series in terms of making him work, and doing what he does to help our offense along, because Brunson is going to need every advantage, every outlet in this series. All right. Let's move on to this one. And this one, when we did the playoff series preview show, a lot of the panel members wanted DiVincenzo to guard Maxi. I want OG. What I want OG to take Tyrese Maxey out of this game and out of the series from the jump. That's why we brought him here. We brought him here to play the best perimeter player on the opposing team. That's what the trade was about. We didn't trade for him for offense, and we're going to need some of that too. But we traded for him to play the best perimeter player on the opposing team. Tyrese Maxey is exhibit number one. And I get it. If you put him on a weaker player like Oubre, he could roam and, he could play good help defense. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. But for me, I'm not wasting OG on Oubre. I'm not wasting him on Harris when Hart can guard Harris. And a lot of times Harris is on self-check, So I'm putting OG on Maxey, period. Now, will he be there for 100% of Maxey's possessions? No. There'll be other players as well. But I'm putting OG on it. I think it's asking a lot for Devo. You're basically asking Devo to hold Maxey to his average, right? I don't think you're going to expect him to hold him under his average. But you're basically saying, I need you to guard Maxey, make sure he doesn't go off and score 30-plus points. But I also need you to score for us because we need that next to Brunson. I think that's asking a lot of Devo. Put OG on Maxey, take Maxey out of this series. This is the first time Maxey has this type of responsibility. He was on the team. Don't get me wrong. He was on the team last year, but the expectation or all of the expectations were on Harding next to Embiid, not Maxey. This season, this series, this playoff series, the expectations are on Maxey to come through next to Embiid. Let's see if he can do it. Let's make it harder on him by putting OG on him. That's what I would do. Whether Tom Thibodeau does that or not, we shall see. But that would be my strategy. I'm gonna just get to one more, and then I'll check in with the chat. And this is Oubre Brunson matchup. Listen, hold on. Listen, multiple players will guard Brunson. Brunson is going to get multiple looks, just like Embiid is going to get multiple looks. So it's not going to be Oubre on Jalen Brunson for 100% of the possessions. They're going to give him different looks. They're going to play him straight up. They're going to, double team him. The key to Brunson being effective in this series, in my opinion, is not how many points he scores in the game. It's not how many points he scores. No, trust me, we need him. But that's not going to tell me how effective he is. How immaculate his floor game is going to tell me how effective he's been in this series. Yes, he needs to score. But if they make it their business to take the ball out of his hand, he has to continue to do what he's always done, is be a willing passer and generate shots for other players on the team. I mean, this is how this team is built. We don't have a lot of players, and you can argue any player that can generate their own bucket. OG can do it some. Yes, Devo can do it some. But if you look at the stats, most of their shots for Devo and OG have been assisted. They're not players who are known for creating their own shots. So Brunson is going to have to continue to do what he's always done. Read the double teams, make the right decisions, generate shots for the rest of the team, right? The other thing, though, that's going to be the key to how effective he is in this series is how effective are the other players in scoring off of the opportunities he generates. Because if we're not able to do that, this is going to be a short series. Brunson, as good as he is, and he's in superstar territory, in my opinion, he cannot win this series by himself. Right? So one of the keys to this matchup, whether it's Oubre, whether it's Brunson against the entire Philadelphia defensive scheme, is how good are the players around him going to be in terms of shot making. Because if they're making shots, maybe Philly has to change their defensive philosophy. Maybe Brunson gets a bit more room. You understand? Maybe they can't pack it into the key. Obviously we have shooters, right? I don't think that's going to be their defensive philosophy to pack it in the key. We have shooters now. We have Bogey. We have Devo. We have OG Anunoby. We have McBride. I said we'll talk about him a little later, but his 3-point shooting has really come around. So I don't think that's their strategy. However, if Brunson is generating shots and they're not hitting them, that's going to make this matchup against Oubre and whatever defensive scheme super easy. Super easy, right? If our team is hitting shots, it's going to make it very difficult. So those are the three matchups to watch, in my opinion. Brunson and Oubre, and Brunson against the entire Philadelphia's defensive scheme, Embiid and Hartenstein, and OG and Maxi, or at least that's who I would put OG on. But let me check in with the chat before I get to my X factors, keys to the game, and get out of here. I'm gonna try to do this in under 30 minutes. Let's see if I can do it. Ivory 10, appreciate you. Knicks are in for a dogfight. All I've heard is a ton of overconfidence. Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm sure there's overconfidence in the Phillies fan base as well. We're super excited. I'm not sure any of us are overlooking Philly, though. I think, if you're looking at this fairly, you have to be concerned about the Knicks scoring when Brunson is off the floor. And in my opinion, the Knicks scoring when Brunson is on the floor. Who's that secondary scorer for us? It's not definitive, right? It's going to be, I would think it's going to be a different player, each night. But that is a concern. So, yeah, I think we are excited. I think we are confident. But I think most level-headed Knicks fans are concerned about the Knicks scoring outside of Brunson. We've seen it. When we're getting that scoring from the team, we look great. When we're not getting that scorer, like I mentioned on the show the other day, Brunson out there looking like a construction worker, working hard, demolition. We need help. No doubt about it. Sean Ramos, Sixers getting clamped, and the Knicks will put the world on notice for the 100th time this season. Let's go, Knicks. I hear you, Sean Ramos. I hear you. Dirty Dancer, even if it's not his game, I'd like to see Hart try to get out in transition and wear him out. I mean, the Knicks have to be in transition as well. right? I'm not sure. Maybe, maybe. We have to also keep in mind, the Achilles tendinopathy that Isaiah Hartenstein is dealing with. He's pretty healthy right now. He said he's able to play 30 plus minutes in this series, and we're going to need him to. But we also need him to be effective. So I'm not quite sure about that, given the Achilles, given the fact that I'm not sure Mitchell Robinson is ready to play 20 minutes behind Hartenstein, 20 plus minutes. But I get your point. The main point is Embiid is not 100%. How can we make him, how can we make him work? How can we tire him out? I think putting him in pick and rolls will definitely help. I think Isaiah Hartenstein and Mitch, when they're in the game, really hitting the offensive boards and making him work to get that defensive rebound. And when Hartenstein is in the game, listen, don't try to be something you're not. Play your game the way you know to play it. But if he has to tend to Hartenstein, when Hartenstein gets the ball at the foul line and turn and Embiid, can't roam, that's going to bode well for us as well. Walter White, if we play Embiid one-on-one and he goes for 35, they still won't get 95 points. That's a good point. Before the injury, the way to play Embiid was not to play him one way. That was the way to play him, to give him, different looks. Do you still need to do that now that he's not 100%? Maybe. I mean, if we can get away with playing him one-on-one, yeah, that would definitely help us. Still Knick fans have their show. Ron has his show at 11:30. So be sure to tune in for that. What's good, Knick family? Salute to the chat. Salute, Ron. I appreciate you. Would love to get on today, but I got to rush out here. I got a brunch in the city. We got to keep Embiid in pick and rolls. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. All that elite this and elite that about Mitch. Well, it's time to show improve. Come on, Knicks 100 at GM. He's not 100%. If Mitchell Robinson was 100%, yeah, he would be elite in this series. I think the question is he good enough to give us an elite 12 to 15 minutes? I'm not even sure about that. Can he give us a really good 12 to 15 minutes? I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that he can give us a really good 12 to 15 minutes in this series. Salute, sis. Definitely hit the like button. All right, let me just see. Ivy 10. I really don't like OG on Maxi. Devo should definitely be on Maxi. Just the ability to get over picks. Yeah, the thing about it is we're asking a lot. We're asking a lot of Devo. He's in shape. He's done it. He's played really well on the offensive end and hit his shots, but Devo is hit and miss. When it comes to his, to the 3-point shooting. I just think that's a lot of responsibility. But you might be right. That may be exactly what Tom Thibodeau does. I'm just saying what I would do. Let OG tackle Embiid in big moments. Drugs only appreciate you. Yeah, OG should be on Maxi to close the game. Okay. All right. Pamela Willis, I agree, says, I'm not sure what you're agreeing with, but I appreciate it. I think we need to stop the role player in Harris with OG and also let OG help on others. Maxi will run OG off 1,000 pick. Okay. I mean, I get it. That's fair. Put him on a Harris, put him on a Oubre so that he can roam. He could be a really good help defender. I get it. Me, you were brought here to play the best perimeter defender. And we need you to do that. Not just guard up, but also guard down. All right. Josh, Appreciate you. Big concern is how the Knicks will generate that offense outside of Brunson. We can hit shot. We can hit shots if we get the right shots. Well, we shall see. But I definitely agree with you that we need to score with Brunson on the floor and when Brunson is not. For the 30 seconds that Brunson is not going to be on the floor, we need to make sure we score. All right. Okay. Good morning, Steph. My biggest concern is size. The 76ers will dominate the boards. Embiid bullies Hart. Embiid bullies everybody. That's why he's one of the best players in the entire association. That's what he does. He's a better player than Hart. Plain and simple. You know? I don't think the 76ers will dominate the board. Well, I shouldn't say that. Rebounding is a concern for both parties, offensively and defensively. All right. Salute, JJ. Steph, are you concerned how much Brunson struggled this season versus Philly? Yeah, but like I said earlier, we do need him to score, but we need his floor game to be immaculate. They're gonna listen. You want to be a superstar in this league? This is where legends are made. We could talk about the regular season, what he's able to do in the regular season against different coverages, but stars are born and superstars are born in the playoffs. So yeah, they're gonna put length on him. They're gonna double team. They're gonna try different things against Brunson. How effective he is. Part of it is him, right? Can't be getting to the rim missing chippies, right? Unless they're tiring him out. That's a concern too. They're tiring him out, and so he just doesn't have the stamina, in crunch time. But a lot of his effectiveness is also going to be how well the other players are playing. That gives him room, So now there's less that Philly can do because they have to tend to the other players on the court. That's going to be part of it. But yes. There is definitely some concern. There's definitely some concern there. Precious will be the X factor in this series. I'm gonna come back to that. Yeah, not sure OG has the foot speed to guard Maxi. That's fair. That's fair. That's definitely fair. Put OG on Maxi. OG 7'2" wingspan messes up point guards. That's fair too. That even if he doesn't have the lateral quickness, he has the wingspan so that if he's a step off, he'll still be able to defend and disrupt. Salute on Dios NYK. Appreciate you. All right. I'll get back to the comments. So yeah, these are my X factors. As starters, it's a toss-up for me between Hartenstein and Josh Hart. If Hartenstein is able to, if we don't have to double team Embiid, that's a plus for us, right? If Hart averages over 10 points a game, and listen, he's been scoring more down the stretch, but it's a difference between a floater over whoever Brooklyn or Detroit has and a floater over Embiid, right? So we shall see. We shall see. But I think if he plays well defensively, if he helps release the pressure from Brunson on those double teams when he gets the ball at the foul line and he's able to hit cutters and he's able to hit those stationed on the 3-point line, if he can get a floater off, like I said, he's 5th in the NBA in offensive rebounds. If he can get us second chance points, that's going to bode well for us. So I do see him as an X factor in this game. And Josh Hart, I know people get on his shooting or lack thereof. If he's triple-double Josh Hart, we win this series. Bottom line. To me, in my opinion, if he's not already, can be an elite level role player. And that's what we need. That's what we need. We need him to be a junkyard dog in this series. We need him to rebound on defense and offensive end. We need him to push the ball in transition. We need him to, shout out to Jonathan Macri. I was reading his newsletter, and he said, listen, if you're not going to shoot, just don't hesitate. Whatever you're going to do, just do it immediately. If you're going to pass, pass. If you're going to drive, drive. But enough with the hesitancy. And I definitely agree. Josh Hart. So that's my toss up between Hartenstein and Josh Hart for the starters, the X factors in that starting unit. Off the bench is Bogey. Period. Point blank. He can change the complexion of this series. He can change the complexion of that. I didn't even know he was averaging 10 points a game. He's getting like 19 minutes. He's averaging 10 points a game. An inconsistent 10, right? Some games where he's, I don't know, 1 for 7, 2 for 9, whatever it is, because he gets it up in his 19 minutes or so. But then there's other games when he's, 16, 18, 20. He can definitely be the X factor because we have to ask ourselves, where are we getting scoring off the bench? Now, it's not going to be 5 bench players out there. It may not even be 4 bench players out there. The rotation may get cut to 8. We may see 3 starters out there with 2 bench players. We might see 4 starters out there with 1 bench player, right? But when he's in the game, if he can give us something, not even if, he has to give us something. We have to get something from Bogdanović in this series. To have most of our scoring coming from the top 5, when Hart is not a great scorer, Josh Hart is not a great scorer, OG is going to be hit or miss with his scoring. We need scoring behind Brunson. We need Bogey. He is a definitive X factor off the bench, and you can argue overall he is. And the non-player X factor is a toss-up between Tom Thibodeau, in terms of making sure he has the right players out there. Listen, if we go to 8, that means some players that we think might be in the rotation may be situational. McBride might be situational. I doubt it, but it's possible. Precious is probably situational. But there are situations for situational players. And Tom Thibodeau has to be on point. He can't lock in my opinion, on this is my 8. And no matter what's going on in the game, I'm locked into these 8 players. He has to be willing to bring Precious in, for a defensive matchup, for a stretch if we need it. He has to be willing to bring McBride in if McBride is not in the rotation and give him extended minutes. Now, extended is not 30 minutes, but whatever he was planning on playing, I'm playing him a little bit more than that if it's working. So Tom Thibodeau is definitely going to be an X factor. I'm really interested to see what he dials up for Embiid. I'm really interested in seeing what he's doing offensively to help Brunson. Now, obviously, there's the scheme and there's the execution, right? I'm interested in the scheme. Obviously, the players have to execute in order for it to be effective, right? So the non-player X factor is Tom Thibodeau, but also the non-Brunson scoring, whether he's on or off the floor. And like I said, there's going to be a lot of duh moments in the show. It's a duh moment. The non-Brunson scoring without Julius Randle is an issue. Embiid has Maxi. You could go down the line. Obviously Giannis is hurt in Milwaukee, so they're gonna have issues there. Where our second scoring is by committee. That's gonna be a huge X factor in this game. All right, let me get back to the chat. Andrew, I appreciate you. How Tibbs deploys OG on defense is what I will be watching for. It will be one of the fascinating angles of this great matchup. Yeah, I agree. And even though I want OG on Maxi, he's not going to be on Maxi 100% of the possessions, right? So you're absolutely right. No excuses either. He man up or man out. Okay, okay, I hear you. Reese Anderson, I'm confident in this Knicks team, but the fact that we almost lost to the Nets and Bulls to end the season concerns me. Listen, it just comes down to, are we hitting shots? Outside of Brunson, who's hitting shots? We're going to defend. We're going to rebound. If we're hitting shots, we win. If we're not hitting shots, we lose. It's just as simple as that. For me, it's just as simple as that. Sherwin, I hope Precious is in the rotation. I don't think he will. I will start Precious and have Hart come in off the bench for size. Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but you got to have effective size. You can't just put somebody out there because they're big. You got to put somebody out there because they're big and they can get the job done. And I do think, Precious defensively, I think he's okay. He's not better than Josh Hart. Even giving up, I don't know how many inches Josh Hart is giving up the Precious. Josh Hart is a better player than Precious, period, point blank. Josh Hart has been guarding up all season. There's no excuses. You need to be able to guard Oubre, and you need to be able to guard Harris, period, point blank. I don't care if you're giving up 3 inches. You've been doing it all season. I'm not changing up my starting line and putting up Precious, who's hit or missed, and in my opinion, has the worst hands on the team. Well, I shouldn't say the worst hands, but whenever he's around the basket, he's right there. It's hit or miss whether he's going to score or it's going to be a fumble or it's going to go over to the other side of the basket. And don't get me wrong, he's come up big for us. There was a stretch when he was playing over 40 minutes a game. He was huge, rebounding and scoring for us. And that Bulls game that secured the second seat for us and a chance to play Philly, he was huge in the overtime. The block shot, the putback. He has his moments. But as a steady player, Josh Hart, hands down. And it's not even close in my opinion. But I hear what you're saying. All right. Let me see. Ajay, my X Factor is Queen. I should not go to any of the games. I'm 0-3 this season. I'm going to be in there in game 5, though. I will be there in game 5. Mike Boyd, we have a lot of bigs that guard Joel sufficiently. Yeah, I would agree with that. Anagram 1, Harris is the X factor for them. He has the talent to go off and bench lift from the Bahamian. Don't really want OG or Maxi. I hear you. He is an X factor for them. I was surprised to see the way the Philly fans are getting on him. I was surprised to see that he averaged almost 18 points a game this season. It's just that he's been inconsistent, but you're absolutely right. He has it in him. We've seen it, right? But Josh Hart has to handle that. He has to handle it. Josh Hart should be able to keep Harris to his average or under. I really believe that. Let me know if you disagree with me. I think if Josh Hart is guarding Harris, Harris should not be going off for 20, 25 points per game. Does he have it in him? Absolutely he does. But I just don't think. All right. Andrew Embiid has played 30 minutes only 3 times since he came back. The 13 to 18 minutes, Embiid is off the floor. So the non-Embiid minutes will be critical for the Knicks. Yeah. I totally agree with you. It is going to be critical for the Knicks. All right. Keys to the game again. Duh. Help for Brunson when he's on and off the floor. We talked about that as well. Hold Embiid and Maxi to their season averages. Listen, if we think we're going to if we can hold Maxi to under 20 points per game, I think he's averaging 26 points per game. Um, if we can hold them under 20, I'll take it. Right? For me, when you're talking about star players or very good players in the playoffs, you just want to hold them to their average because these are players that have the ability to take it up a notch in the playoffs. Right? I don't want to see Maxi with 35, 40, 50 points a game. We not matching that. I don't want to see Embiid, even at 75% with 35, 40 points. How are we matching that? Is it possible? Yeah, but we're making it hard for ourselves. Hold Embiid and Maxi to their season averages or less. Those guys cannot go off. I'm not concerned about Uber. So say, for example, we have we have OG on Maxi, we have Hart on Harris, and we have to put Devo on Oubre, who's not an efficient shooter. I believe he's shooting 44% from the field and 31% from three. But listen, and anything can happen in any given. You can get efficient in one game, right? Oubre is not beating us. Oubre is not being. I'm not concerned about Oubre taking advantage of the Devo matchup to the point where we're going to lose the game. But am I concerned about Maxi? Am I concerned about Embiid? Yeah, I am. Bench production, we talked about this. Listen, I don't think we're going to have a lot of bench players in at the same time. We talked about that, but we still need scoring from our non-starters, right? I'm not sure how much we can expect from McBride. This is his first time in the rotation, if he's in the rotation. And I think I read somewhere where he has yet to play more than 5 minutes in a playoff game up to this point. Now, does that mean he can't come in and be huge for us? Yeah, he can. I'm just saying, but it's between him and Bogey, the non-starters, to come in and give us a lift. And if McBride is able to do it, that's great. But if he's not, I'm not banging on him. It's his first time, in this situation. And the other thing I forgot to talk about was DiVincenzo. Like, this is the first time in his career that he's had this type of responsibility in the playoffs. Has he been in the playoffs before? He has. Has he had this sort of responsibility in the playoffs? No, he hasn't. So that's going to be interesting as well. And we need timely scoring and stops. I agree. I forgot who said it to open the show that this is going to be a dogfight. This could come down to crunch time. This could be very close in the last minute or two of the game. Can we get timely shots and timely stops? We're going to need that. You scored 35 points. Okay. But when the game was tight in the last minute or two, did you get a timely shot for us? Yeah. Overall, you did okay guarding Maxi or okay guarding Embiid overall. But when ish hit the fan and we needed a stop, were you able to get it? Right? So timely scoring and timely stops is going to be super important in this game. I think that's all, that's all I have. I just want to shout out the chat before I get out of here. We got 120. I don't even have the show on out, so I don't know how many likes we have. But hit the like button. Let's get the likes up to 80, 85. I'm not sure what they are now. So let's see what the chat is saying before I get out of here. Reese Anderson put OG on Maxi. He'll be neutralized and will win. Yeah, I agree. Lowry gonna keep McBride occupied. All them vet tricks. Yeah. Lowry is what, 36 now, 38 maybe. A shadow of himself, but you're absolutely right. In terms of playoff experience and grit, a lot of times you don't really need to be great for the entire game. You just need to be great when it counts. And he's one of those players that can be great when it counts. Nope, Bojan would come through this. Not sure. Magellan, We can sweep them, Geoff, or we can be swept. We need our shooters to come through for us. Shooters and scorers. Yeah, absolutely right. Andrew, not so sure 76ers beat Miami. If Doc was coaching that game, Nurse made some good adjustments. No, listen, no doubt. There's going to be no surprises in this series. The Knicks know who Philadelphia is down to the toilet paper in the locker room. Philadelphia know what they need to know about the Knicks. There's going to be no surprises in this series. And this is why stars are born, because the team, the players, the coaches know what you want to do, but you're able to do it anyway. Right? They have their game plan. They know what they need to do to stop the Knicks. Can they execute it, and will it actually stop the Knicks? The Knicks know what they need to do to stop Embiid, to win versus Philly. They have their own keys to the game. They have their gameplay. They know what they need to do. Are they able to do it? That's going to be the difference. That's going to be the difference in the game. And of course, definitely in-game adjustments, game-to-game adjustments, roster adjustments. No doubt about it. Greg, I hear you. I hear you. If Maxi drops 40, it's going to be a tough night for us. No doubt about it. But keep in mind, we have better perimeter defenders this season going into the playoffs. We have Devo, we have OG, we have Precious. I don't know if Precious is in the rotation, but he's a really good situational piece. He can defend out on the perimeter. If Hart gets into foul trouble, or his Achilles act up, and I really hope it doesn't happen, Sims may get in. Sims has played this season, so he'll give us energy. Is he Hart? No, he's not. But we're gonna need players stepping up all over. All right. Yeah, buy houses. Yeah, this is do you think Alex Burke gets run this series? I'm going to say no. I forgot all about him, actually. He's a situational player as well, but I would say he's super situational. Maybe Tibbs dust him off in the playoffs. He might be forced to. In those non-Brunson minutes, depending on how McBride plays. We really don't have a secondary ball handler, Maybe Devo may have to. McBride. If we see Burks, it's because something didn't work out. That's how I see it. If we see Burks, it's because the plan didn't work out. And we had to see what we had in him. All right. So shout out to Greg, Buy Houses, Mike Boy, Magellan, Walter White, Knicks 100 a GM, Ajay, Jeff Klafter. Me and Ajay should be on Sunday, actually, the day after. That's tomorrow. Me and Ajay should be on with a post-game show tomorrow. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you have your notifications on. Lionel Monis, appreciate you. Josh, a.k.a. Uncle Fulio, Anagram, Sherwin, I appreciate you. Pamela Willis, everybody else who stopped in today. And of course, like I said, this was going to be a quick half-hour show, and already it's been 48 minutes and counting. Ron from Still Knick Fans is about to go on with his show, Know the Ledge. I really wish I could join, but I'm late to this brunch already. Until next time, let me see if I can I even find my extra? Oh, here we go. Till next time, family.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Don't talk.
Where you at?
Don't talk.
Where you at?